You bought about $40 of gas, but your bank app suddenly shows a pending debit card charge closer to $100. That looks like fraud until you know how authorizations and holds actually work. In the next few minutes, I want to make one confusing screen feel predictable. A debit card purchase usually moves through authorization, hold, batching, and settlement. Once you understand those 4 stages, you can tell the difference between a normal temporary hold, a completed charge, and something that is genuinely worth disputing. There are 4 stages worth knowing. First is authorization. That is the moment the merchant asks your bank whether the money appears available. Second is the hold. Your available balance drops because the bank is reserving funds for that purchase, even though the final transaction may not be posted yet. Third is batching. Many merchants do not settle every charge instantly. They send groups of transactions later. Fourth is settlement. That is when the final amount posts to the account ledger and becomes the completed transaction you can review as finished. This is why available balance and posted balance do not always tell the same story. Available balance answers what money can move right now. Posted transactions answer what has fully settled already. If you confuse those 2 numbers, pending charges feel chaotic when they are often just unresolved timing. Gas stations, hotels, rideshare apps, and restaurants create extra confusion because the first hold is sometimes larger than the final charge. The bank is reserving room for a likely amount before the merchant closes the real total. That can look like double charging when it is often 1 hold plus 1 final settlement, crossing paths on different timelines. Imagine Maya stops for gas on the way home and spends about $40. When she checks her app later, the bank is showing a much larger pending charge. Now she thinks the pump charged her twice or that the station took extra money. What actually happened is more ordinary. The station placed a higher authorization hold. Her bank reduced the available balance to account for that hold, and the final amount has not settled yet. By the next day or 2, the hold drops off and the real purchase amount replaces it. That is a very different situation from fraud. But if Maya has no mental model for authorization versus settlement, both experiences feel the same for the first few hours. Hotels create the same confusion in a bigger way. A hotel might place a hold for the room, taxes, and an extra amount for incidentals before checkout is complete. So a traveler can see one large pending number, then a final posted amount later that looks different. The account feels unstable, even though the payment flow is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Picture a banking app screen with 2 lines from the same merchant. The first line is gray and says pending. The second line is dark and says posted. The pending line tells you the money is being reserved while the transaction is still in motion. The posted line tells you the merchant has finished settling the charge. If you only stare at the balance, both lines feel like the same event. If you read the status label, you can see whether you are looking at a temporary hold or a finished purchase. First, open the transaction and check whether it says pending, processing, posted, or completed. Second, compare your available balance with the posted transaction list instead of treating them like the same number. Third, keep a small cash buffer so temporary holds do not create instant chaos. Fourth, check the charge again after the merchant's normal settlement window instead of assuming the first number you saw was final. The useful question is not, why does this balance look scary right now? The useful question is, what stage is this transaction in? Once you train yourself to ask that, a lot of banking anxiety starts to lose its grip. If a pending charge has ever confused you, comment with the merchant type that threw you off most: gas station, hotel, restaurant, or rideshare. Subscribe to Finance Keys. The next video will break down hotel authorization holds specifically, because they look bigger, last longer, and trip people up even more than gas station holds.